good morning all. My name is Ahmed Bati Ali from the Department of Environmental Management, BUK. I am the supervisor of HARUNA, Dr. HARUNA PB.
Assalamu alaikum, good morning all. My name is Umar Khalid from Africa Certification Control Initiative, a non-governmental organization.
From treatment projects, in which during the execution of the project, we have purchased more than 40 borrow pits.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Ismail Atolu Tanamo from National Environmental Standard Regulation Enforcement Agency, NESRIA. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Superintendent Dr. Mukhtar Abdullahi. I am representing the State Commandant of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, Kano State Command.
My name is Hamis Sani. I'm Project Manager, Kano River Irrigation Scheme, Pura.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Comrade ISAH Usman from the Water Users Association, Chris Kano.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Hawa Amin Abubakar from NADW. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Nafisa Ismail Mukhtar from NADW.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Nusi Long Baba from Water Users Association, Chris.
My name is Risikat Abibola Akewula from Nigeria Environmental Society.
I am Chief Director, National Agency for the Great Green Wall.
Assalamu alaikum. I am Baba Gana Abdullahi, Department of Urban and Regional Planning, Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. Assalamu alaikum. I am Bashir Ilwa, Nigerian Environmental Society.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. My name is Yasir Mustafa Ibrahim from Ecobalance and Konsulting Services.
My name is El Ali from Ecobalance and Konsulting Services.
The next item is an opening remark by the chair of today's workshop, Dr. Ahmed Fati Ali.
Thank you very much for the introduction. I would like to start by telling us here that this workshop is specifically to validate the PhD study. I'm sure it will mention on the stuff. When HARUNA finishes, he will become a doctor of environmental management, and he will become an expert in borrow feed and other environmental management issues. He has gone to field, he has taken a lot of data, he has gone around, most of you have supported him according to what he said. He has gathered a lot of data. We want to be sure that all those information he has gathered are accurate to the best of our abilities. Please, we should be honest and very committed in helping us, because I said help because you are validating what we have done. If we finish, whatever is the outcome, we will take it as valid or otherwise. We all know this, everybody here knows about it, so I don't need to do any introduction. I will leave that with him to present. The only thing I am asking is let us contribute, let us make sure that we validate and make positive impact on the work. Thank you very much.
The next item is the presentation on borrowing management, which will be done by HARUNA MANU. He shall be presenting the key research findings, and I hope that we all here will make contributions to what he will be presenting, because in the end, it will be about our environment and how much of a protection we give to it, because his findings should be able to guide us in decisions that we will be making, not just for Kano, but for Nigeria as a country. Thank you.
Good morning all. My name is Haruna Isa, and our topic of presentation is assessment of borrow pit management in Kano River and HADEJIA Valley Irrigation Scheme. And that's my name. And to remind you again, my supervisor is here. So please, you should follow me gingerly. This is the content. This is the content of our presentation. not to waste too much time. Then, statement of the research problem. What triggered this research? Kano River and HADEJIA Management have undergone domestic structural rehabilitations in 2010 and 2018 since their inception in early 80s. Environmental degradation is a common feature. Anywhere you see construction site, then you are bound to see some level of environmental degradation. However, the haphazard mode of excavation and indiscriminate location of borrow pits around these schemes had brought about a series of concerns, not only to environmentalists but even to the primary beneficiaries of the project and even the secondary beneficiaries. And the combined length of FCs in the two schemes, HADEJIA Value Scheme and CRIS, Kano Value Scheme, the combined length of FC is 1,238 kilometers. In a layman palace, it's like you traveling from Kano to Lagos. If you put this length of the FCs together, HADEJIA and Kano, you put the length together, it's 1,238. It's like traveling from here to Lagos. And the combined length of DCs of the two schemes, HADEJIA and CRIS, is 420 kilometers. It's like traveling from Kano to Abuja. That's for you to understand the length. But all these DCs and FCs are to be filled with material from borrow pit, then cut into the shape of irrigation canals. That's the methodology of operation. The problems associated with borrow pit acquisition of sand are so many, as I mentioned. Deforestation, taifa grass infestation, erosion, landslide. These are the kind of problems you see in the scene. Borrow pit ubiquity in the study area have the potential to exacerbate climate change. These borrow pit actually serve as hierarchy of animals. You will come to see that according to this was very low, therefore, this research is to investigate the borrow management practices with their associated environmental and social implications, increase HVIS with a view to developing a strategy to bring about integration of borrow pit agriculture within the existing action schemes in HADEJIA and KANO-NIGERIA. This is the focus of the research. The question we are presenting here are actually three objectives. One, what is the spatial distribution of this borrow pit? To what extent are they distributed around the schemes? What is the land area lost and volume of material extracted? For us to really understand the problem. Then what are the economic implications of this borrow pit? The aim, as I mentioned earlier, is to assess borrow management practice with a view to developing a strategy for the integration of borrow pit agriculture within the irrigation schemes. These are the study objectives. One, to examine the spatial distribution. Two, to determine volume and area of sand material excavated. Three, to determine socioeconomic and environmental condition of borrow pit used in relation to the scheme. Now, scope and limitation. The scope is CRIS is made of about 5 km. Then we have HADEJIA. This is the spatial scope. Then the temporal scope, it is meant to cover from 1980 to 2022. So what is the reason of this study? One is it on the drive by the UN Ecosystem Association by 2030. That by 2030 we should have our degraded land, if not fully restored, at least to an appreciable extent, they are restored. That is the goal by UN Ecosystem Association. Equally, the World Bank mantra for sustainable banking will be given a boost by this study. Third, the study can be a blueprint for integrated irrigation and cultural system for the schemes as the drive by FAO for integration of irrigation and cultural practices to boost food security. Then the research output will serve as a template for integration of agriculture within the irrigation scheme. RBDA, this can serve as a tool for you to embark on this integration. Method and methodology. We got the data of 1 and 2 from There are two types of data here. One from field observed comprising point coordinate. We went round, we took the point coordinate of the borough that were in existence. As I said, this study, the temporal scope is from 1980 to 2020, sorry. So everything I'm saying here is based on this. Our limit is 2020. And subsequently, Google Earth imagery was obtained from Google repository in respect to ascertain the position of this borough from 2000 to 2010. Basically because we could not trace the imagery from 1980 to 2000 because there was no DEM. Digital television was not in existence. So there was little we could do. However, this was reported even in the report that we could not get. And the few maps we got were basically soil maps. So there was little we could do for this kind of study. But from 2000 to 2020, we were able to do some level of study. A total of 18 Antoton borough were obtained in 2020 respectively increased, while a total of 14 and 15 were obtained for HBIS. Now, the second category of data was acquired from NSS Data Search Vertex, a repository for digital elevation model. Remember I told you from 1980 to 2000, there was no digital elevation model then. NGI especially can confirm this. However, from 2000 to the time of the study, we were able to get that. All these were charted in MAC and ArcInfo. This is not technical, so let me go forward to you. This is a study population. Greece, there are around 54,000 farmers. HBI, there are about 12,000 farmers. And the number of boroughs identified, 34 in Greece as at 2020, 55 in HBIS as at 2020. The instrument we use GPS, we use Sobo Connect, and the discussion guide as we're having here. Then, sampling technique, we use proportional distribution of samples based on the population of farmers increase at HBIS. Now, the result. There were about 34 borough increase and 55 in HBIS. There are 2,000. The analysis slide indicated that there were about 19 boroughs in 2000. 19 boroughs were identified. As you can see them on the map. Up there is Greece. Down here is HBIS. So in 2000, we were able to identify 19 boroughs in Greece and 21 in HBIS as at 2000. Then we conducted what we call nearest neighbor analysis to find out whether there was an element of planning in the location and distributions of these boroughs. We now realize from the result that the boroughs are too clustered, meaning in any distance, if you travel a distance of 1,960 meters, less than 2 kilometers, you are likely to find a borough in increase. And in any area, if you travel a distance of 2 kilometers, after 2,000, 2 kilometers, you are likely to see a borough. That's what this analysis is all about. Then, in the year 2010, we realized that Greece, they had about 21 borough increase of 2. HBIS 26 borough increase of 5. Now, this is the distribution, as you can see that over there. We conducted another nearest neighbor analysis to observe the distribution. Because why are we concerned with this distribution? It will go a long way to tell us whether planning was considered in the location. Because when you have a too much cluster, even if it's a settlement, if you go to our ghetto, there are 2 clusters, say there's no planning here. If you go to GRA, you see dispersed, say there is planning here. This is a layman definition, so that you know the essence why we need to do this kind of analysis, to know how distributed they are. If they are well distributed, it means there was an element of planning. If they were not well distributed, it means there was no planning. So from our analysis, we realized that there are 2 clusters. And the implication of this is this. It put the infrastructure at risk of flooding. And as we know, boroughs do expand. If boroughs are expanding day in, day out, what will happen to multi-billion-naira infrastructure that we're going to have in us? Meaning, they are at the risk of collapse. When you have too many closer borrowing scheme. This is what this analysis is telling us. Because if you look at it, in 2010, you need to travel a distance of 1,106 meters, far less than 2 kilometers to see a borrowing. That is increased. In HBIS, you need to travel a distance of 1,847 meters, less than 2 kilometers to see a borrowing. The implication of this is, meaning if you are here, if you travel a distance of 2 kilometers or less than 2 kilometers, you are likely to see a borrowing across the scale. That's what we mean by this interpretation. Borrowing increase in number and expansion, meaning the old ones have expanded or number of borrowings have increased. Now in 2020, we conducted an analysis to discover the borrowing distribution in this system. We now realize that Greece, they now increased 34 borrowings. HJS, they now increased to 55. In HJS, 25, 29 more compared to 2010, 29 additional borrowings were added. 29 borrowings were added. To see how close that they are. And to see whether the distance you need to cover to see a borrowing will drop. Really, it has dropped. Now, if you look at the observed mean distance, sorry, it's not here. You fix it. 1,468 meters. It has dropped, meaning the borrow pit have increased. They are also clustered within the skin. That is for Greece. In HBIS, it further dropped to 1,037 meters, meaning from less than 2 kilometers to now a little bit above 1 kilometer. The clustering is increasing over the years. I would like to display this thing. 2000. The land area, after doing all this, we now computed the area of land lost from 2010 to 2020, from 2000 to 2020, to see the level of degradation, because we measured level of degradation by hectares of land lost. So we now realize that as at 2000, Greece, a total of 43.3 hectares were lost. Total of 43.3 hectares. Yes, 43.3 hectares were lost. Then in terms of metric tons, more than 3 million metric tons were excavated from the scheme, either due to the scheme or illegal mining activity. But we know they are within the scheme. The borrow pit are within the scheme, but as we all know, we cannot control illegal mining. However, 3.3 million metric tons of sand were excavated as at 2000, and 43.3 hectares of land were lost. Then in HBIS, as at 2000, 26.6 hectares of land were lost. 26.6 hectares of land were lost. In terms of metric ton, 1.4 million metric tons of sand were excavated away from us, either for the scheme or outside the scheme. But this is the volume of material lost as at 2000. Then in 2010, area of land lost increased. It has now increased to 112.4 hectares of land. 112.4 hectares. And then 3.3 million metric tons of sand were excavated. That's increased as at 2010. In HBIS, HADEJIA, 31.7, that's in 2010, 31.7 hectares of land were lost in 2010. In metric ton, 1.7 million metric tons of sand excavated. I need to go back a little bit, or I should proceed. Okay. As at 2020, HBIS, 111.6 hectares of land were lost. Then over 13 million metric tons excavated in HBIS as at 2020. Now, let's look at this graph. if you are to do a comparative analysis between HBIS and PhD, in terms of area of land lost, from 2000, you can see a progression. The blue one is the area of land lost increase, KANO-NIGERIA. The red one is the area of land lost in HBIS. Increase, there is a steady increase from 2000. In terms of area of land lost, there has been a steady increase. But in HBIS, there was a steady increase, but around 2010, there was a progression upward. Meaning something must have happened around that time. Around that time, there was a brought about this rapid increase. So there was a rapid increase in terms of area of land lost from 2010 to 2020. In between, something maybe there was a rehabilitation or a massive illegal mining activities are taking place. Now, in terms of volume of material lost, increase and HBIS, if you look at the blue one, increase, volume of sand extracted. The increase started from 2010. All of them started around 2010. Increase in terms of volume of excavation. You can have increase in area without increase in volume because of expansion. Area can be brought about due to expansion. But volume is real-time extraction. This is the socioeconomic because we try to also discuss with farmers to really establish this issue. So this is, we try to see the contribution of farmers to development. Remember, we did analysis of various level and we did analysis of various level to discover how how far one can travel to sea. Now, distance from farmland to a borrow pit. Most of them, 38.3%, they said they are less than 1,000 meters. Less than 1,000 away from your farmland to the nearest borrow pit. Most of that 8.3%, they said less than 1,000 meters. But, 1,000 meters. That's less than 1 kilometer. But 30.7%, they say no, it's between 1,000 to 2 kilometers. My farm to a borrow pit is between 2,000. So if you combine it, over 60% are close to borrow pit. If you add the first one and the second one, over 60% are located. Their farmland are close to borrow pit. That's what it means. Either less than 1 meter, less than 1 kilometer, or less than 2 kilometers. And there are also studies that justify, that supported, there are previous that prove that really, which can severely affect agricultural productivity if you have borrow pit close to farmlands. Because borrow pit, before the borrow pit, probably they were farmlands. Now taken over by borrow pit. Meaning some farmland was taken away. So reduction in farmland size. That's the implication. Now we try also to ask borrow pit and landscape destruction. Borrow pit and landscape destruction. We now realize that most of the farmers, they have a high degree of concern, up to 95.3%, that really borrow pit used to bring about landscape destruction. They are so much concerned with this. Now, borrow pit as breeding ground for vectors. We also tested this with the farmers. If you look at it, about 98.4 is it's a serious concern to us. Because really, this borrow pit, they also have vectors. And we know the outcome of vectors, mosquitoes, fly. There's a study there. Then, we also tested borrow pit and aesthetic value. Aesthetic value, how beautiful the area is. They have a serious concern, about 84.6% of the farmers, they express serious concern. Really, borrow pit are destroying their aesthetic value. If you are looking for a pristine environment for now, you need to go to the rural areas. Then now, if you go to rural areas, are destroyed as the urban areas too, because of borrow pit proliferation. Then we now look at erosion and expansion. We now test to see 86.2% of the farmers we interviewed confirmed that it was of high significance, it's of the most significant. That is to say, these borrow pits are expanding. They are really expanding. That is why 86.2% of farmers reported their concern. Landslide and borrow pit. We tried to confirm, about 230 confirmed to us that really is expanding. And there's a study that confirmed to us that there's a study by Celestin and his friends in 2021 that shown that borough expansion can exacerbate erosion and increase the likelihood of landslide. This is a study before me. Then borough excavation and water quality. About 40% of farmers reported this concern, but one thing, 41% is a no, it's not of concern to us. It's not of concern to us. However, this is contrary to studies. We attributed this to low level of understanding because people may not associate poor water quality to borough pit. But studies before us have confirmed that borough pit excavation can bring about water quality degradation. Or even though in our study we found the contrary, but this is also contrary to study. We try to attribute this to level of understanding. Borough pit and farmer-herder conflict. We tested this also with farmers, and we realized that about 81.5% of farmers confirmed that it's of significant concern because of reduction in grazing land, reduction of land area for cultivation. Of course, all of them, they are looking for land. Farmer is looking for land to cultivate. An average herder man is looking for a where to graze his cattle. So definitely they will be conflict. So they confirmed to us that really the provision of this borough pit used to bring about conflict between the two livelihood segments. We now try to test also, are these borough pit hideout for criminals? Are they also hideout for criminals? We now realize that 55.2% they confirm that it's of significant concern. It is of concern to them that criminals use this borough pit as hideout. Whenever they commit their atrocity, they used to go there and hide and take refuge. Borough pit and labor influx. You know, whenever there is labor influx into a project area, it invariably means that there will be stress on available facilities. Water, rentage house. So we tested this. We now realize that 53.6% of farmers confirmed that they used to have foreigners coming into their area due to borough pit excavation. The implication of this is that it used to add too much stress to available facilities, utilities, and services in a given community. Now, summary and conclusion. The borough pit inventory and the borough pit nearest neighbor has indicated that the borough pit locations are clusters. They are too close, in fact, to a fault. And they are contributed impact in terms of health, safety, and environment, and thereby undermining structural integrity of the irrigation system. The consideration of this borough pit within the scheme signifies lack of adequate environmental planning in borough pit acquisition, exploitation within the scheme. It was equally analyzed that the area of land lost due to borough pit acquisition and operation has increased tremendously, especially between 2010 and 2020. Same applied to volume of area, volume of material lost. And the short implication of this survey we carried out is that there is a high degree of lack of understanding of the implication of borough pit. Because you can see the findings sometimes contradicting research, previous research. We attribute because we didn't show the economic data. You will have seen the level of education. It's very low. So we attributed to that issue. So equally, farmer exhibited some paucity of knowledge of the linkages between borough pit acquisition and operation to climate change and desertification in the study area. Thank you very much.
I think you did very well. At least you've now opened up all the information needed to do constructive discussion about it. So you've given us that one. And we thank everybody also for listening. And this is the time of discussion. So we are going to now open the panel. We have experts and very serious stakeholders here. We are going to give them a chance to kind of discuss what we expect to have contributions and constructive criticism. Whatever you say here, whether we like it or we don't like it, we really like it. So there is nothing that we would not like, because we want to be sure that we are on the right track. So we are going to start by giving, maybe we start from the other side, so that we give you to start the discussion.
The chairman of this workshop or vision my mentor, and my lecturer as well, my head of department, because I am a child of environmental district management. I'm a student of environmental management of BAYERO University, KANO. Let me first and foremost thank you for extending this invitation to National Environmental Standard Regulation Enforcement Agency. We in Nigeria, our vision is to ensure cleaner and healthier environment to all Nigerians, as well as our mission is to inspire personal and collective responsibility in environmental consciousness that will bring about sustainable development. Let me as well congratulate MANU for this effort, and it has what? It's going to add credence to what we are doing in Nigeria. Like in Nigeria specifically, we have about 36. We have 36 national regulations. We have 36 national regulations that some of them have, although not directly bearing much. Like we don't have any regulation on bore pits, but we have regulation on quarrying and blasting operations, and we have another one on mining. These are related to your work, and we are looking at what in the near future. Based on what, from this your finding, the environmental impact of the proliferation of the bore pits, for it having a serious impact on the environment, I think it is high time we should be looking towards having what, a regulation or policy. Although from our own end we don't have, as my parent ministry that have what, the statutory responsibility in what, in formulating policy. Issue of having a policy that will be guiding the proponents that are into construction on what, how the bore pit should be what, should be managed. The issue of what, you talk about the issue of maybe the distance over time, that has what is shrinking. It has implication on the environment. The issue of what, landslide or subsidence. You know, globally now, we are having a serious challenge, disasters that is occasioned by lack of proper management of the environment. It is a serious concern. All environmental should be what? Should be so concerned. The way we are managing the environment is going to what? It's going to have serious repercussion on all of us. This my premise is for us all. Let us have to rethink on how we want to manage the environment. In most cases, our construction is supposed to be sustainable. Our development is supposed to be what? Sustainable. Most of the construction, they don't factor issue of what? The management of the environment. Some of the what, maybe some of the construction that is ongoing, they don't have what? They don't do environmental impact assessment. Then there is a disconnect. How do you work? Because it's expected to what? It will give you an overview of the baseline existing information. But when this word is not done, then there's going to be a gap. That is why we are having some of these challenges. And the way we will continue going now, if we are not careful, but we are not praying forward for disaster. But the way we are going, by the time we have, because the construction is still ongoing. And what they are going to use, the sand they are going to use, it will be excavated from the environment. These are some of the concerns. All hands must be on deck. On our own part, we are doing our own best, but it has given us what? A direction on how we will now focus on that area as a regulatory agency.
Mr. MANU has done well. I really congratulate you on that. But I don't know whether theoretically you have considered how the bore pit came into being. What born the bore pit? Like the area of concern, you take increase and HBIS, they are meant for rehabilitation. Some are meant for road use. Some are meant for some other aspects of infrastructural development. But the area of concern is the irrigation. You did not mention how they are born, because there are some criteria to follow for each and borrowing to be excavated. Like in case of the rehabilitation, you need to have all those soil tests to determine the borrowing needed. That is one. Number two, how, since you are talking of the management came into it. I was thinking of you to be saying that all the effects that you have itemized, how are we going to do the management of the borrowing? To either be in terms of economic aspect or to serve as what do you call it? Like the one increase, they are meant for maintenance of these canals that you have mentioned. FCs, field canals, lateral canal, and whatever. So that is the reason why, after the construction of the entire project, they are left behind to serve as a maintenance place where you can go and borrow your soil for your own maintenance. That is it. What happens to fauna and flora? If you excavate the borrow pit, since you are talking of management, how do you now, what happens to them, fauna and flora? Then what happens to the trees removed from the excavation site? What happens to the trees? Even the one man they are considering, if you remove one tree, you have to plant 3 trees. After the use of the borrow pit, that is the standard of the World Bank. Since we are talking of the management, I thought we would all bring all these issues into being. Then, since we are saying of managing the borrow pit, what happens to the stabilization grass? There need to be a stabilization grass so that this stabilization grass, it will be used to cut off erosion in future. You have to mention also the other methods to prevent the sloping, to prevent erosion, like sloping of the borrow pit. There are other ways to do it so that erosion will not be the order of the day after excavating of the borrow pit. Then other aspect is sand mining. What happens to sand mining? People will continue to use that borrow pit as far as it is existing. What happens to it? So you need to tell all this one since you are talking about management. Thank you very much.
First and foremost, I would like to congratulate Dr. MANU for an in-depth study about borrow pits. Borrow pits will continue to exist concurrently together with development. It's a process that can never be stopped. As far as construction will take place, it's just like a certification process. It's a process that can never be controlled, can never be stopped, but can only be controlled. I don't know if the construction firms or the individual people that goes for sand mining and excavation of laterite soil conduct a serious environmental and social impact assessment in these areas, because it's not only DRA now, it's at the DSI, environmental and social impact assessment at the areas where they want to make this excavation and create these borrow pits. You also spoke on the people that are migrating to the areas where these borrow pits are located. They descend on the meager resources in these areas, exhausting the carrying capacity of most of this infrastructure, water, electricity, and whatever. Is there any social threat also due to influx of these migrants into these areas? Finally, is it the construction industry that provide infrastructure like the irrigation canals, the roads, and what have you, or the people that are excavating these barrow pits for the sake of building houses and other things that causes major problems? Thank you very much and congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Presenter, for this wonderful presentation. I believe in the security context, this your presentation has made a serious impact. Actually, I want to add what you have said earlier. You see, this borough field, we in the security sector have been getting reports on being it a hideout for criminals and criminal activities. And as you said in your research, it is an area for vectors and parasites. I would also want to add to that it is also an area where we get predators like crocodiles, because we have received several reports on the presence of crocodiles in some of the borough pits. And I also want to ask the presenter, how did he determine the age of the borough pit? Because I believe from your presentation you said from 2010, from 1980 to 2024. So how did you determine the age of the borough pit you are conducting your research on? And I also want to ask the presenter whether he has considered the economic usage of this borough pit in aquaculture. And if there is a data available for its utilization in aquaculture here in Kano, I think it will also add value to your research. Thank you.
And you get perspectives that you might have not considered. So I think we've got a lot of inputs, but then we'll kind of discuss that one and probably ask MANU to ask questions again if there are areas we want to ask. I think in terms of the regulation, it's encouraging to understand that work like this is now pushing the regulators to realize that there is a gap that needs to be done, something needs to be done. And I'm sure they are serious people and they will be able to do that. So this is very encouraging. When he started, he wasn't sure whether, we were not sure whether there's a regulation guiding that or not. However, in his review and field work, he realized that yes, there is no regulation. You have to connect a couple of other regulations to come out with that, because it hasn't been recognized as a major environmental issue, and that's why there was no standard regulation for that one. So when we complete this work, we will expect to work with you to make sure that we have that, because what we do is to make impact. So if we do it and put it on the shelf, it's useless. But if we do the work and share it with you, that's the essence of this discussion. We can see how can that trigger movement that will help people, which is very encouraging. And then in terms of the comments you have made, they are very, very useful, because especially this issue of the effects, effects on fauna and flora, effects on trees, and the standards by World Bank. I'm not sure whether MANU has considered those standards of World Bank and this impact on flora and fauna. He has brushed it a bit, but I think after I finish it, we'll ask you to comment as to whether that has been factored or we have a plan, because this is half of the work. There is the other half, which is going to be impact on water quality and impact on land. So we'll ask him to discuss whether we have actually talked about the flora and fauna and whether we consider the World Bank standards, whether there is compliance or otherwise. Of course, because this PhD research, we have limitations, funding, timing, and several other issues. So, but these issues are important because if we don't do them, we will not justify why we did not do them, because they are important. So I think that's very useful. And then this issue of stabilization grass as well, and the other ways to manage the barrow pit. I think, I'm not sure whether we also looked at that one, whether there is compliance in that. But I want to say that because we used remote sensing data, and that at the beginning we could not even see anything because the resolution, if you look at the images he shared, the ones of 2000 is very difficult to actually see. 2010 a bit better, 2020 much better. So because of that, the historical records as to getting this information is actually a big issue. But I'm sure he will shed more light as to whether it can be done. The essence of responding to that is, if we have not done it, and it's important to do it, then we will justify why we have not done it. And we can itemize that as issue of further research. Then we make it as a recommendation. You know, in PhDs, usually you start with few questions, but you end up with more questions than the ones you started with. So it's very normal to start with listing what you have done, and then end up with more questions. So these are also very useful. And then another interesting thing is this issue of ESIE. Ideally, any project of that magnitude, most of them should be subjected to EIA. However, because what we have done is historical records, and then when you just locate them, it's even difficult to actually trace who actually did it. And then the scope of going to them one by one to see, okay, this is who did it, this is when it was done, why it was done, this is responsible, and stuff like that. So this issue of EIA, as a project, Chris, the river irrigation project and the HADEJIA Valley, there's a project, so there's EIA on that one. But there's no, I think from what is there, it's a bit difficult to trace as to the particular barrow pit, whether there's EIA or not. But I think it's also an important thing to note, because if there is something we can do to get a bit of that information before we do final submission, that will add value. If we cannot do, then we will also mention why we have not been able to do that. Because if there is EIA, most of these things will have been considered. Because you will have the environmental management plan, and then there will be audit at the end of it. Meaning you have to factor all those things in the design, construction, and ultimately even how to close it down at the end of the day. And then there's something interesting that you mentioned as well, that some of these barrow pits are left. I'm not sure whether I got you correctly. They are left on purpose so that they can be used to repair and stuff like that. Please, we need a bit of more clarification on that one.
Barrow pits that are scattered within the crease and even HADEJIA Valley. At the inception of the project, after usage, they are now left for maintenance because the embankments used, most especially the secondary canal, that is the what we call distributory canals. That time they were average. So you need to have a soil each and every year for maintenance. So if that time maybe you backfill the entire borings to source that soil again, it's a series of concern because you need to buy another borrow pit, excavate it, then take it where you want to use. And there were a lot of breaches before the coming of the intervention of the trimming project. Most of these distributory canals, farmers normally cut them to serve as water intake into their own farms. So you need to have that soil each and every day, each and every year, or maybe after seasonal, dry season or wet season operations. You need to have, that was the major reason they were left behind, and they are scattered within the schemes. Yes.
To be. I hope you are taking note of all these things. Yes. It's interesting to know that, because in the field you will see it. As researchers, we just look at, okay, this is A, B, or we just look at the numbers, but there are things in between. That is this engagement that will actually open them up. So thank you very much. So on what you have also given, you've talked about the EIA, which is very, very important. Even though we, as I said, we work on historical data, and we may not be able to get those ones, but at least we can put it in why we have not been able to get it, and we will also make recommendations that this must be taken seriously. But before we even put it in recommendation, we need to look at, in the project, we ask them whether they have some EIAs done or not. And if they have, then we look at the scope of the EIA, whether that has been considered. Because if they have an EIA, usually before you access any World Bank or funding, EIA is required. But the extent of what they have done in the EIA is also another thing. There is something interesting that we've noticed recently. Is, in Nigeria, a lot of EIAs are done because of funding. Meaning, scope of EIAs can be altered just to pass the EIA.
Exactly.
So when they limit the scope of the work, and they do the EIA on that one, and it comes to the real project, that the reality will come on board, and then you realize that the environmental and social impact has not covered what it needs to be covered. So these are the things you need to also check, and then at the end of the day, we put reasons as to why it is what it is. And you also mentioned issue of the impact on people migrating. That's also very important. We've done some social economic analysis, but I'm not sure whether we actually ask for the impact of people. There is the influx, but I think we also need to look at the volume of work. There are a lot of information that he has collected in the field that are not here in the presentation, because we always say when you do your data collection, try to do as much as you think you can get. But when you want to present your own result, you only present what aligns with your objectives. So while I am pointing to him those ones, we might have actually obtained those information, but we are not presenting them. If we did, it means we'll just get them in and align them together. If not, then we'll look at what can be done on that one. So that issue of migration, because migration is an issue, it's a very, very important issue at the moment, globally. So this issue of the migrating people, or even temporarily to come for work and put pressure to the available infrastructure, is something that we should look at and report it. So we are going to also look at that one. And also, there's another question that was raised. Yes, we have these borrow pits located in the scheme, but are we sure that those borrow pits are as a result of the scheme or by other sand mining activities? Because it's also something that we know in Nigeria, maintaining these things is always very difficult. So in terms of what we have done, we have to look at it, whether we have actually been able to establish that or not. If we have not done that, then we need to also put some comments on it. Yes.
It belongs to the river basin, HADEJIA in particular. But as people are coming for more construction, individually they will normally send their own farmland. And after excavating the soil, then the borrow pit goes back to the owner. You understand? So like in the crease now, we have those borrow pits belonging to the river basin as well as individual borrow pits. Let me shed more light also on sloping. It's very, very important. After finishing the use of the borrow pits, you need to slope it. So you slope it, you slope it, you slope it. It prevents erosion automatically. Then you use stabilization grass. you go around the borrow pit, use stabilization grass, then since according to European Union as well as world, if you remove one tree, when you are excavating borrow pit, you plant 3. So you now use that one, then you plant the 3 after the stabilization soil. Then you have already carried out 100, almost 100% managing of the profits. No much more issue. Unless otherwise, people are continuing to do sand mine. That is why you have also a problem. But with all that, if you have the stabilization grass, as well as the trees surrounding it, then much of your problem has been solved in terms of managing borrowers. Our project, since it is World Bank funded program, they normally put money for that inside the bill. After finishing the project, you have to stop it, put the stabilization grass as well as the trees. Before the excavation, there is like an inventory. How many grasses are there? Even ant, that's why I made mention of water flow. How many are there? You have to identify and tell what the world are. So normally all the projects now these days funded by World Bank and the European Union, they normally they set aside certain amount for that management of the borrow pit.
Very useful. And thank you very much. And we are going to consider all these things. And as he's talking, I'm looking at, that means the issue of complying with those kind of standards he's talking about is actually a researchable issue. Because if each and every borrow pit is done and closed in the way that you are talking, it means the common scene would be you see borrow pits, but you see it sloping with stabilized grass, with trees planted, which I mean is difficult to find in the environment. Of course, you mentioned that some of the borrow pits belong to people as well.
Yes.
Meaning, if you do those activities, what they do with it after is actually outside your scope.
Outside the scope.
Okay. So this information is very useful. We are going to factor it in and see how our findings and discussion and recommendation will go along with that direction. And also, the social thread, and then I think you've answered those things I wanted to ask you. This issue of the project, who owns the borrow pits and what happens after that, and the standard. And then, very important from the security people. Everybody is looking at it from his own point of view. So the security man is thinking about security. How does this borrow pit affect the security? How does it make his job better or not better, right? How does it affect his job? I think we all anticipate that, and I think it's true. Borrow pits are usually hiding ground for the criminals. Sometimes when they go around, they make it as a meeting point. They can come and even share what they have gotten and stuff like that. They commit crimes and so many things from that side. And you also mentioned something about the predators. Yes, I've never thought of it, because I can imagine, but crocodiles and having enough crocodiles is actually a big issue. So these are also important things that we will consider in the work. I think most of what we have discussed here are very, very useful, and we've taken notes of a lot of them. What I have just commented on are just few. So we have to ask Manu to now ask his questions and comment, and we'll see.
And we will add some ligament and tissues to the research. I have a question how to determine. There are so many comments. I will consider them maybe after we sit down with my supervisor. We will attempt few. How to determine the age of a borrow pit. We use remote sensing, sir. Remote sensing. Yes, GIS and remote sensing has capability to determine, because we are using decadal analysis, 10 years. Okay? We now use back tracing to trace the origin of the borrow pit. That's how we are able to arrive at this. After taking present coordinate, we go by using imagery. Okay, using imagery that we obtain, then we now do like a backward trace. Were they there? If, for instance, you take 20 coordinates now, you map it. you trace it. Were they there 10 years ago? You realize that some will disappear. Some will disappear. Some will remain. Those that remain, meaning those were the borrow pit that were there 10 years before that time. That's how we do. Then there is a comment on aquaculture. You see, that's the idea behind this search. How do you put this borrow pit to use? Generally speaking, there are basically about 4 borrow pit aftercare measures. You are either abandon the borrow pit, or you have rehabilitate the borrow pit, or you claim the borrow pit, or you restore the borrow pit. Restoration is a very herculean task. It's difficult. As engineers said, to restore a borrow pit, even according to Society of Ecological Restoration, it will take you minimum 10 years to ecologically restore a degraded site. Restoration in terms of the flora and fauna, to restore them after degrading, it will take a minimum of 10 years. So restoration is always a difficult task, and it involves a lot of resources. That's why most of the times people go for the cheapest one, they abandon it. Even project, they abandon it. It's the cheapest one. It's the cheapest one. And the second one is rehabilitation. You slope the edges. As engineers say, you work on the edges, you regularize the slope. These are all rehabilitations. Then the next one is reclamation, where you put it to another use. That's the essence of the research. How do we now suggest some standards, then put it to a different use? Because restoration is difficult. Even though we would like to see that, but achieving that is a herculean task. Then there's a comment on ESIA. Yes, there was an EIA in 2017. And during my research proposal, this is the gap I want to fill. There was no borrow management plan in that side. As of 2017, when the EIA was prepared, they only identified 3 borrow pits. How to manage them was absent. So this is the gap. This is what it's trying to fill. I mentioned this during my proposal in the university, that this is the gap, one of the gaps I want to fill. The EIA did not foresee or did not foresaw the kind of the number of borrow pits this thing will generate. Problem. They didn't foresee it. They assumed that the 3 borrow pits identified were enough. Unknown to them that the methodology of the project will require filling the existing canals or the FCs, cutting them to irrigation shape, meaning you have to get more materials from borrow pit. So the 3 identified were not enough. So there was a lacuna actually, there was a gap, serious gap. That's during my presentation I raised, and Prof was there, my late Prof was also there when I did this presentation, that there was a gap. This is the gap I want to fill. Then, as I mentioned earlier, stabilization grass to prevent erosion, this is part of the recommendation we are going to have. Because now the problem is there. It's there. The issue of borrow pit acquisition must have been a thing of the past, have been acquired, operation must have taken place. Maybe they have resulted in the cheapest management strategy, which is abandonment. So now we are saying, okay, how do we manage this? And secondly, if you observe from the research, the analysis, the clustering of the borrow pit, and if we would have seen the table, even the depth of the borrow pit varies. The minimum depth is 1.7 meters. That's the average depth. The average depth across all the scheme is 1.7 meters. Is that sustainable? That's the question. Is that sustainable? And some of the borrow pit will have 0.4, some will have different depth, meaning there was no control even the depth. People excavate as they wish. If there was a control, somebody would have said, no, excavate to 1 meter only. Then the control is being applied. But when you see variation in depth, some 2 meters, some 1.8 meters, some 1 meter, it means no element of planning, no element of control. These are the concerns of the research. Okay. Thank you. I will stop here, not to take too much time, but all the input are very valuable. I will going to consider it. I want to discuss with my supervisor to see how we can implement the work. Thank you.
Mine is about existing boroughs in Kano. It has a lot of issues. Most of the boroughs, there is irregularities. At times, in one borough, you see Some started 5 meter and end up to 10 meter in most of the site. So in that, seen by engineer that you have to provide a buffer for control or sloping, that one can be difficult. So mostly in that regard, the issue of aquaculture can be very good and community engagement also. Or you can use half crescent or gandari as part of the management plan to abate into such. Thank you.
Mr. MANU, and all the people observe. Actually, I want to make some observation and also contribution. The first observation, basically for me, is looking at the volume of material and the hectarage of where the project has covered, and looking at the project topic. I think it would be very important to know that it is not only the project during construction or rehabilitation that has taken all this material. And for that purpose, I think it should be instrumental to mention some of the other projects within the area. Because if you look at the graph, which is fantastic, shows how the borrow pit has increased over the years. And if you look at this borrow pit that we have is directly related to the development in those areas. Basically projects or infrastructure provided by the government, which included roads and some other projects that happened that needed material for them to have come. Not only the work increased. So if we mention some of those projects, we can be able to see how many projects has happened in a particular area that has made the volume or the numbers of the borrow pit to have increased that much. That is the first observation. And my other contribution is that from the point of view as engineers, because I'm relating with what my Oga there has said, there are certain reasons why you have it clustered in some of these areas we have seen. The first reason is that basically they are standard just like you have in the environmental for engineering. These materials, before they can be used for a particular purpose. And it varies. So if the standard of the material is not met, the contractor will not be allowed to use any material. So that brings to where my contribution is that for a particular reason, if a material that is suitable for the purpose of the construction is found in a particular place, the contractor will always go within that area to get that particular material, which is what you have seen, the reason why you have so much borrow pit clustered in a particular place, probably because of the type of material they have. So in that case, the regulators should be the one to come in to help us in that situation. There must be a maximum width that a borrow pit must have if you are taking a material, and a maximum depth. Because if you say 1.0 meter, don't forget, in engineering, before you can use a material, there are some overbody material we call topsoil and some other ones that are not suitable. Even at 1 meter, some of them are not suitable. They are useless for us. So before you go there, so probably those are the ones that you may consult with some engineers to know the proper depth, that it should be minimum, that can be satisfactory to environmental, the depth that should go. But from an environmental perspective, there must also be width that must be enough. And at that instant, there must also be a minimum distance where you have a borrow pit, that you can have another one. No matter how good the material is, you have to go somewhere else. That is the only solution to some of these challenges. Maybe going further in other projects. Thank you.
My doctor to be or doctor or protocol observed. I want to talk to you, ask you a few questions or chip in one or two things from the angle of a colleague. I think maybe I did not hear you very well. Maybe I did not hear you very well. When you were making a presentation, you make mention of maybe put some mention of useful like wire measuring. You may mention of that. Okay, I think that was to be needed too, because based on our experience, dangers of which maybe children, losing some children and then that as a training, intend to go to all those people and need to see them. They go to swim because of the water incident, and at the end of the day, they lose some of them. Some of them lose their life, lost their life, and so on. They have properly securing that place after using it, that is number one. And then number two, whatever present, we want to make sure that an agreement should put those things in consideration. And they should go beyond. And at least we want to know so many times that there's a distance the borough needs to give an existing road before making use of it. But these days, when you go around and see some borough from the existing road, it's not up to 15, 20 meters. I think those things are new to consideration. Thank you very much.
Because we are identifying a gap in our two major regulations that are supposed to address this. One on mining, quarry and plastic regulation, and the other one is construction regulation. We are supposed to address this, but there is no issue of road kits in this particular regulation. So now I want to ask, based on the recommendations we give from here, do you suggest that we address that gap or we get a new regulation to address that particular issue? Based on international best practices, you must have reviewed a lot of literature and regulation based on international best practices. Thank you.
All protocol results as established. I am Shaya PhD, Director of Environmental Safety, Control and Research of the newly established KANO State Soil Mineral Resources. Doctor, yes, I know it interferes several as far as the but my own business, I don't know a lot of lines from your research findings. Have you ever come across the danger that most of the people that are outside the community are facing with regard to these parameters, especially those parameters that matter emanating from sands, mines, and other related external activities. This is important because most of the communities where this parameter exists as a result of these mining activities were not even know where to go as far as what your men mentioned, the gap that exists in the environmental impact assessment, where most of these external miners, they are just doing it informally. So I don't know whether your findings has come across where to support the developmental projects within the body with regard to borrowing on how to reclaim it. One, there is a lot of loss of life that normally occur within the body, especially where to maintain some water bodies. People along the line, as they are trying to excavate sand, they may end up losing some life, of which this is a war that needs to harness on how to reclaim those bodies that might have emanated as a result of this external mining activities within the study units. Thank you so much.
Congratulations, presenter. During the presentation, you flagged that you were mostly on socio-economic impact, while we are discussing about the impact, and particularly health, livelihood, and economy, and security, of course. I think you need to dwell more on the real environmental impact, like ecological impact and the effect of the borough pit on the flora and fauna, and of course erosion and sedimentation, and land use change that the borough pit cause to the local community. And of course, since we are talking about the management at the end of the presentation, I don't know whether in the main work, I think there's supposed to be a kind of best practices for land reclamation. And of course, there are, I couldn't see a provision of any regulatory framework like mines and steel and mines, all these regulatory agencies find that next year we have some, though we need more. But there are a lot, I learned that there are a lot of laws in Ministry of Mines in your area. I don't know whether you have them in the network, but I couldn't see them here. Thank you.
And I'd like to congratulate you, Dr. MANU, for coming up with this unique topic, because this topic is something I've never come across. It's not going to only be beneficial to the government alone, but also to the community. And I'd like to adapt your comments up. It is so socio-economic activity. Thank you very much.
So it happens to be that we have a CBO association, community-based organization for environmental management. So I have been thinking of how this can be ameliorated, or how the threat from this profit can be solved, or even ameliorated to certain degree. You know, I have been thinking about planting trees around the borough pit. But when I visited the place, I found that the top is rocky and the bottom is unstable. So you know, in the process of soil formation, if you plant a tree, the roots will start to go deeper into the crack this thing. So my fear is maybe it can, instead of solving the issue, it can even escalate the issue. So you mentioned something that about sloping and using stabilizing plant. I learned this. Very, very good suggestion. You have to slope the side, because it used to be very dangerous. If you start planting trees on the top, it might break up and continue to cause a lot of addition. But sloping it and planting this stabilizing plant is a very good suggestion, which I'm very sure you will take this thing. It will be well taken on. It's very good suggestion. Secondly, or thirdly, I would like to ask about certain practices of some companies during environmental compliance monitoring. You know, one of the requirements for the companies to mention their waste management, waste which they follow in their waste management. And if you go to most of our rice milling companies, they used to have, or they used to generate a lot of ash and rice post. So when you ask them about how do they used to manage such, sometimes, or many times, they mention that they are borrow it, they buy, they are using the burnt ash from the boiler and the rice post from their milling processes to be dumped in that place. Because if we are to go by some feeling, it's like one of the panelists said it, it's like you are separating a particular place to solve a problem in another place, so going in cycle. So they used to say that, but is it sustainable or unsustainable? Because if we look at certain socio-economic problems that might arise, like disease and contamination and pollution, you can look at it from that angle. And also, yes, of course, you can use it to feed in the profit. So please, I would like to hear some comments on this. Is it sustainable or unsustainable? I'm representing the federal controller. Thank you very much.
The comments are very valuable, and we're going to take them into consideration. Let me respond to very few of them. The issue of clustering of the borrow pit within the scheme. During my research, I realized that it's not only about the inherent quality of the material that brought about the concentration. Sometimes even the contract document constrains the contractor to work within the scheme. That's the reality. What is the free haulage distance? It's about 10 kilometers. Meaning, for a contractor to get paid, he has to go beyond 10 kilometers. In that case, they prefer to economize, to cut costs. Am I right? Engineers, am I right? That is where the problem starts. That's where the problem is. So, because of the fact that the contractor knows that he's not going to be paid, that's why he goes to the nearest location and take his material. But if you know that if he goes 5 kilometers, he will be paid. You don't have to go 10 kilometers before you get paid. He will surely look for materials outside the boundaries of the scheme. So I think our problems start from there, from the contract document. That's by the way. Then on sand mining policy, globally, if you look at Malaysia, India, they have sand mining policy. Our problem here in Nigeria, from the reviews we have done, if you look at the Sand Mining Act, they consider sand as a minor mineral, which is contrary to global reality. Sand is one of the most used resources after water. We regulate water, we regulate petrol, we regulate gold, but we don't regulate sand. It doesn't make sense. You understand? So this issue of minor, they classify it as minor and major minerals. So those minor minerals that are given less consideration, we don't have policy. But globally, India, they have a policy on that. Malaysia, they have a policy on national sand mining policy, where sand mining value chain from borrow pit acquisition, operation, there are standards. In some places, they will not approve borrow pit if it's more than 1 hectare. They don't approve it. They say, look, go and reduce to 1 hectare before we approve. And you cannot go beyond. These are regulations and controls that we can have to help us in managing. I will stop here. I will put more at the end of the research. Thank you, sir.
A very, very productive few hours. I can say within 1 hour, 2 hours that we've been here. We've been able to present the work so far, and we've got very useful suggestions, questions, and a lot of inputs. We've learned a lot. Dr. Manu, to be, has actually learned a lot. I have learned a lot as well, and I'm sure most of you here have learned a lot, because there are a lot of things that I didn't know, but now I've been educated, so we have to thank you for that one. We've covered so much. I don't think there is need for recapping everything that we have done since we all participated. But I would like to say that it has been very productive, and we thank everybody for coming. From the panelists, we are very, very grateful. We have the regulators, which is next year. Luckily, he's our student, which is also the interesting part of it. He's our regulator, but also our student. You see, so it's good. And we also have the HADEJIA and Korean at the same time. As I think he's here to do HADEJIA, but also to do the Korean engineering. So I think that is very, very useful. And we equally have the security, which we've all learned about, the implication of what we do on security. We have the engineer. I think he had to pay because he lost somebody. So we are very, very grateful for your time, for the contributions, for the inputs, and we hope that when we come back to you again for other inputs in private, you will give us, because I think we need that. We will certainly come back to you, learn a lot from you. And then to the participants also, the beauty of these participants is the fact that everybody you see here is a very important person in the field. He is a very critical stakeholder. So we are very thankful, very appreciative of your time and your participation. Your presence has, refined the work further, because we will have to go and now sit down, take our cups, put it on the table, sit down, review the work, put in some of the inputs that you have given us, ask ourselves some questions, and be able to improve it. So we are very thankful. I pray that Allah will reward you abundantly. And I hope that as we come in here safely, we get ourselves back to our respective destinations safely. And get nice activities all over Nigeria. Our MC and very, very is the master of the end. He's not just a content master, he's super master of the game.